I'm gonna do something called branching out here. And branching out is I'm gonna stop kind of talking about Drag Race for a minute here, and I want to talk about something that I have done. Um, I was a creative writing type of person. I didn't take any classes for it. God knows they wouldn't have helped. But I wrote a lot of books as a kid, like short stories as a kid. I had a series called How They Died. Like, it was fictional characters, but it was like their story from their point of view. This is not one of them. This is Cowardly, which is a book that this was the full book that I wrote. Don't try and find it. You won't be able to. I didn't post it anywhere. I kept it on my computer, and I have it. I have it on my computer, and I have it so that way I can I reread it. It's actually held up. I have tea that is uh, steeping for however long it needs to. It's Twinings. I watched Kate Butch do a ranking of teas, and she goes, "I love a Twinings." Sure, Jan. I guess I'm not really a tea drinker, but my mom gave me about 80 bajillion teas. It's peppermint tea. Because I was gonna eat some chocolate sweets while I was with my Oreos. Decided to go stale, and when Oreos go stale, they just go soft, and I don't like it. I don't like that. Anyway, I'm gonna just give you a little plot synopsis and just explain the world of Cowardly to you because I think that's the most interesting part. It's basically just the Wizard of Oz from the Cowardly Lion's point of view, but I change a couple of things. There's a reason that I didn't publish this, and it starts with the name Gregory Maguire. I think you've heard of him, and his hit Wicked. Yeah, I didn't want. I found out Wicked was a thing early, because gay. But also, we were gonna go see it on in the West End. So I knew about it. I did not know about Lion Among Men until I read it, and I have to say. I'm confused about Lion Among Men because, frankly, I don't remember what happens in it other than there's a glass cat. So this is gonna instead of being this is just gonna be a little bit of a plot summary as well as explaining things. It's Yap Fest, and I understand that a lot of people won't like that, but people who do stick around because I do love doing Drag Race content, but I do want to kind of branch out a little bit. I'm getting kind of bored with just going, and this is what happens, and these are my thoughts and opinions on them. And it just is well, once you get down to the top five, y'all already know my thoughts and opinions about the top five. Y'all already know my thoughts and opinions about the top four. I'm still gonna do a finale thing because I have to because I've come so far, got so far to go. But I just am let's explore other avenues. And I have been sitting on this, no gay pun intended, for a while now. I've recorded videos about this subject and I haven't posted them because I'm just I always get scared that people are going to go, this isn't your usual content. And I understand that. But I want to talk about it anyway. So, let's talk about Cowardly. We open in the Munchkin Forest. And that's the only, little thing that I will say from that. Because, frankly, that's just to explain where we are. So, in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy travels to the Emerald City. And in my mind, Dorothy just took the east route. The Yellow Brick Road spans everywhere. But except for the Winky country, and we'll get to that. but it spans everywhere. So like once you get to it, like you're fine. Um, I also thought, what if it was just from the east? But they have it going all the way around, and I don't understand that. I don't understand why they do that. I think this is done steeping, so that will be fun. I'm gonna just put it in here. Twinings, love a twining. This is Karma. She's dead. I loved Karma. She was 14 when she died. Seashell, don't even think about it. Seashell's also 14, but I love Karma. I loved Karma. Even though I really didn't treat her that well because I was 9 when she passed. And Bajan was 17, 19 when he died. So, yeah, I missed those two, and now I got Sufud and the miraculous ladybug in there. Just living at large with liver and lard. Anyway, let's talk about Cowardly. I make a point in Cowardly to say that the lion is called Lion in this book. But, like, the lions all call themselves Lion. Does that make sense? But, like, for the viewers, I give them adjectives. So that way they can be like, oh, okay. They're talking about the old lion. The old lion's the leader of the group. There's mother and father lion, and I think there's, like, hunter lioness. Because lioness is... I almost said girl lion in there, and I had to stop and go, that's just a lioness. But yeah, the lion is brave. He's a brave lion, and he's called Lion, and his forest is cursed because a trickster lion from way back when Lurleen was fucking about did a prank, and so they are now bound to a magical piece of footwear called the Jeweled Shoes, and that sounds familiar. It's because the winged monkeys are also bound to a golden cap. It's not the same person, but Lurleen just was like, nothing I can do. Lurleen is the fairy queen who created Oz, apparently. They ripped straight from L. Frank Baum. And she is a massive, like, where is she? Because the thing about her is that a lot of people think that she fell into the Deadly Desert, at least in my book. This is not from the Oz canon, though it might be, I don't know. That she fell into the Deadly Desert while flying over it one day. Others think that she is still alive. Some people say that she proclaimed herself to be a witch, and others proclaimed that she is just hiding in a cave somewhere. We never find out. Lurleen never shows up, because why would she? This is just a fucking lion. You know, he isn't that special. Legitimately, the fame that he gets from killing the Wicked Witch of the West and going to see the wizard does not get him anything. He's just there. Like, it gets rid of the curse, because Dorothy leaves with the silver shoes. Or the jeweled shoes, rather. But, like, the lion is just like, okay, but I'm gonna go back and lead my tribe. But he does get called into Ozma's council. Or, not Ozma's council, the Scarecrow's council, excuse me, to help out a boy named Tip in the second book. Transition. Because Tip is trans. I mean, he's trans in Marvelous Land of Oz too, but in this book, we have a long gender discussion. Also, this is not a, like, smutty retelling of The Wizard of Oz. There is no sex, because I was a high schooler. I didn't even know what that was. I mean, like, I knew what it was, but I didn't even, like, I was a virgin. So, I didn't know what that was, and I know a lot of people who write fanfictions or versions. I just get that vibe. Also, I was not one to be trolling on the forums over there, like DeviantArt and stuff. I did that in middle school for like 2 seconds, and then I got creeped out because I saw My Little Pony thing, and I said, I'm gonna turn this off, and I never turned it back on. Anyway, the lion is the next person to own the jeweled shoes. or the next person to have to go to the person that owns the jeweled shoes. There are four cardinal mistresses of the north, south, east, and west. There's the sorceress Tadipu in the north, and I fucking hate that name, but because she's named that in the other books, Tadipu it is. There is the sorceress Glinda in the south, and if you're thinking, wait, no, she's from the north, no, that's the movie. I pulled this from the book, so she is from the south. There is Ruth, the Wicked Witch of the east, and then there is Indina, the Wicked Witch of the west. And yes, I named Indina after Indina Menzel because in my little mind, this was a TV show. I was like, she's gonna play this. Honestly, I put a lot of Indina Menzel's Elphaba into this, and I couldn't take the name Elphaba because that's Gregory Maguire's, so I just did Indina because that's her name, and I can just do that because there's other people named Indina. But I took a lot of things from Wicked, the musical, in how she looked. And also she has a battle cry, and the battle cry is that is supposed to be sort of the thing that she has. Because you can hear it for miles around. When Ruth dies, Indina, lets out that war cry, and the lion, it says that the lion heard it from miles around. It's written in third person, so that way I could describe what everybody else was feeling, because I hate the eyes. I stepped on the grass. Fuck off. No. The lion stepped on the grass. That's a lot better. How did Ruth get the jeweled shoes, mind you? And the reason they're jeweled and not silver shoes is because I wanted to pay homage to the ruby slippers. So, they are created in the Vinky country. I liked the fact that Winky was a slur in the Wicked books. Not that slur existed, but just the fact that, because Winky in my house was termed for between me down there on a guy, so I couldn't really say that word a whole lot. I used to think that they were just bunch of dicks, but the Vinkus is in Gregory Maguire's book, so I just said, what if I just the Vinky country? It's not a slur to call them Winkies, but I did it with two V's stacked together so it would look like a W, but it wasn't a W. It was like the Vitch, the witch. It's like, I see what you did there. And they are the mining colony. They have a bunch of mines and, they mine rocks and stuff like that. The Winkies are little gnomes. They're not gnomes, but they have the calloused hands, and they're moving things throughout mines and stuff like that, and are just overworked. They have steel mills there, all of that, and so these jeweled shoes have little jewels on them that sparkle different colors. Usually they're golden because Dorothy is walking on the yellow brick road. But when we get to the poppy field, they're ruby red, and the lion comments on that. And I said, what a good job. And they're silver, when she steps on something gray or silver, but their natural state is clear, or a pearlescent white. Anyway, how did Ruth get these shoes? Well, her father gave them to her when he was dying. And dying in Oz is weird because there's only 3 ways to do it. First way is just to get eaten. If you get eaten, you die. I racked my brain because I was first the other 2 ways were the only ways that you could die originally. But I was like, what if you need to eat? So you can get eaten and die. That's fine. Because you're no more. The stomach acid, but you can starve in Oz and go into a coma even, but you won't die, technically, because the magic's keeping you alive. But the most popular way to go, and the one that is like referenced the most, is through the deadly desert. At the end of somebody's life, when you are too old to walk, like everything is hurting you, everything is just being awful. You have a big celebration with everybody. You go to the one of four towns that is specific to this, and they've created tourist traps, all of that sort of stuff. They advertise this is where you're gonna die, and it's like you have all this pomp and circumstance. They throw you a parade, all of that sort of stuff, and you stand. You say a little speech, and then you walk into the deadly desert and immediately turn to sand. Then everybody goes home. Everybody goes home because the celebration's technically already been done. There's no funeral or anything like that. There's no remains to sweep up. But the other way to go is if you proclaim yourself to be a witch or a wizard or a warlock, but nobody fucking does that. Because who says, I'm a warlock? Nobody. You can get melted by water. This way, the Wicked Witch's melting makes sense. So that is why Glinda and Tattyboo are sorceresses, because they don't want to die. Glinda is older in this version too, because she's the second eldest. Tattyboo's the oldest, followed by Indina, then Ruth. Ruth is the newest one, and they are sisters technically, but like half sisters, because her father is different from the mom. Their mom is rumored to be Lurleen, but nobody's found that out yet. And when Indina was born, she had green skin. Because everybody else is fine. They're all white, unfortunately, because I was in high school and I had an idea of who was going to play them, so they were all white. But I did get something correct, because in my mind, Jeff Goldblum was the wizard. So, there's that. Yeah, when I was in high school, Jeff Goldblum was my pick to be the wizard in my little movie. But also in my little TV show, also there's a guy from Star Kid. He plays Bill, in the guy who didn't like musicals. I had chosen him in my mind to play the Cowardly Lion. Because Cowardly Lion didn't get laid in the book. He's I even think he's asexual. Like, he's just, he isn't interested in sex. I think that's what asexual means. I don't know, man. I just work here. I really need to read up on that if I'm gonna make all these wild claims. But yeah. Ruth is proclaimed to be a wicked witch, but like she's not. She's just not approachable. She doesn't have a wheelchair or anything like that. I didn't go that far with it, but she is just like rude to a lot of people. She's not necessarily wicked, and that's the thing. The reason that she's wicked, it's a funny story, really. The wizard went on a date with her at one point, just because, and found her so boring because all she did was talk about agriculture, because Munchkinland is farming district. That he said, I don't like you very much, and proceeded to kind of run a smear campaign on her. He ran a smear campaign on Indina just because of the color of her skin, because he's awful. But he isn't Wizard from Gregory Maguire's Wicked Awful. I need to make that very clear. He's an asshole and a dictator and just like the worst. Like, nobody likes him. And he's so obsessed with magic, but he can't do magic. He has a bunch of magic artifacts in the throne room, or the back of the throne room, rather, that he studies and then creates puppets out of those things to simulate magic, but he isn't technically magical. The biggest plot point... Hi, bitch. Hi, baby. I was right the first time. quit. The biggest plot point comes when Ruth and the lion have to go to, because he has to go to Ruth's place. They have to go to the Emerald City to talk with the wizard because the quadlings are being assholes, which is so like them. God bless them. I love the quadlings because I wrote them, but like they're part of the fashion district, right? They make textiles and all of that, and they are big on the death stuff. You know, they're like galas, and like they have like masquerade balls, all that sort of stuff. They're very like just full of themselves, and they're arguing because they fucked up with the sheep. They were gonna dye the wool of the sheep and then start shaving the wool off and using that. And all the sheep in Munchkinland, are you good? Are blue, but like they can change colors. Like you can get a true red out of a sheep's wool, but you just gotta like know what the fuck you're doing, which is why the Munchkins don't do it. And they were just arguing because they could. Because they thought they were entitled to the sheep's wool, and they're like, yeah, but we make lamb chops out of these guys, like, too. So they were gonna go settle that dispute, and the wizard is just being nasty about it. And in the room there is a tiny tornado that is spinning, and a model home of the wizard's like neighboring hometown of. Well, not neighboring hometown. He's from Omaha, Nebraska, but of this little place in Kansas where he grew up. But then he moved to Omaha, Nebraska to be a circus carny. And the lion leaves and accidentally knocks over the tornado in a bottle, which busts open onto the model farmhouse. About a day later, winds are really picking up, and Ruth is basically this is a state of emergency. Everybody inside. We have a tornado. Nothing that anybody had ever really not seen before, because the weather on Oz is like the weather on Earth. Until a whole fucking house drops on her. Now you think, because in the movie that kills her, you think she'd be dead, but no. Dorothy doesn't know that. She thinks that the house killed her, and that's sort of the narrative that they go with. But the lion knows different. He jumps out of the way when the house lands, like he's herding a guy named Bach back into his house. If you remember Bach, me and Bach, he's actually a character in the original book. He's a rich Munchkin lander. In my book, he made his profits off of corn. And he has a scarecrow. Not the scarecrow you're thinking of. The scarecrow you're thinking of is actually a Gillikin scarecrow. The Gillikins are a wood chopping community. But since the outskirts of their town land on Munchkinland, sometimes they have scarecrows. And during the tornado, the scarecrow, one of their scarecrows got picked up. Could you fuck off? Please and thank you. I appreciate it. Got picked up and dropped in a cornfield someplace else. Because that's what tornadoes do, y'all. They rip through stuff. They relocate things. You miss your favorite pair of pants? Too bad tornado took them. And that's the scarecrow you're thinking of. One that goes to see the wizard. Dorothy steps out of the farmhouse, and Teddy Pooh immediately is like, okay, we gotta get this bitch out of here. But also, what if we did a little lesson in trickery? Would you stop? You're too adorable. I love you, but you're also a bitch. She's almost a year old. Jesus Christ. She goes, what if we do like a little lesson in trickery? And Dorothy, this girl can go to see the wizard, with your shoes on, and then the wizard can take her by his hot air balloon back to where she came from, and then we don't have to worry about the cursed shoes anymore. We don't have to worry about the wizard. And also, Indina adds, what we can do is throw a fireball at the hot air balloon as it's traveling over the deadly desert, killing them both. And the lion goes, maybe. If you feel so inclined, you can do that. Indina also lets out her battle cry near this point, though they have to go get water from a stream to kill Ruth because there's no deadly desert nearby. And also, she's in mortal wounded pain. Legitimately, she would have developed an infection that would have spread throughout her entire body, and then they would have had to throw her in the deadly desert or do something with her anyway. Because there was a whole piece of wood sticking out of her. Yeah, the house smashed into a billion pieces when it landed. So she was fucked. But Dorothy just thinks that she squashed a bitch because she didn't see the fact that she actually survived. Indina lets out her little battle cry. The lion hears it, and it takes him a couple days to get back to his forest, where he's going to intercept Dorothy, and which he does intercept Dorothy. And while he was with Ruth, they did the Tin Man turning into the Tin Man thing, because I had to include that. Nick Chopper's not the biggest fan of the lion. He knows him because he was there when he turned to tin. And he's not the biggest fan. But after the lion basically greets them and has to lie because he's not actually cowardly, he just has to do the jeweled shoes thing. And he doesn't want Dorothy, letting Dorothy on the little secret because, especially the part where Indina's gonna fireball them, that would be harsh. So instead, what he does is he just lies. He says, I gotta go with you guys. Nick Chopper doesn't believe him for a second, but he pulls Nick aside and goes, bitch. And Nick goes, bitch. And then they shake on it. He goes, look, I gotta do this. I'd like to see the girl off. You want to get your girlfriend back, which I don't think that the lion or Nick know that Nimini Anime, who is the love interest of Nick Chopper, is dead. She killed herself. She claimed herself to be a witch, dropped water on her head after Nick turned into a Tin Man, and the Scarecrow is just fucking clueless. They try to explain to him what's going on, but he doesn't remember it. Because he ain't got no brains. He does do, tactical thinking, but he isn't, smart. Like, when the Colladas show up or the Cletus show up, he's like, pretty. And the lion has to inform him, no, those are Colitas, and they will kill you. They are half tiger, half bear hybrids, and they don't fuck around. And then Nick he tells, the Scarecrow does tell him, chop down the tree. But it's because he wants to pet them. But the lion is insisting that they're gonna die, so he goes, okay, we'll chop down this tree, then I'm gonna go out there and pet them, and they have to hold the Scarecrow back while they're chopping the tree in half, so that way the lion, the Kalitas can go, and they get carried upstream to the deadly desert and die. Where does that stream lead to? Deadly desert, and it was a roaring stream too. The stream, the river that they get caught up in, where the stork picks up the Scarecrow, also has connotations of the deadly desert too. That is why they had to get out of there as fast as humanly possible. They wouldn't drown, but they'd immediately go into the deadly desert. There's the chasm that they have to jump over, but the poppies are interesting because I thought, well, instead of having regular poppies, they are gigantic, and they cover a lot of land. and so when you're walking through them, you can't really breathe in, and they do fall asleep, and that's where the lion looks at Dorothy's shoes and sees that they're red because she's stepping on giant poppy petals. Um, and the Scarecrow has that idea again. So the bobcat, I bet you guys are wondering what happens to the bobcat that the field mice fuck around with. Yeah, so the field mice are in this one too, and they help the lion get back to where, you know, safety. But the bobcat, they eat the bobcat. After he beheads the bobcat, they eat him. So that way, you know, waste not, want not. And also, the cat kind of looked really, really gory without the head. They tell Dorothy it's chicken, but it's the bobcat. They get to the Emerald City, and the wizard does tell them to go kill Indina. And the lion's like, no. And when he goes in, the wizard's just sitting in his throne. It's not a fireball or anything like that. He goes, hey, man, I told all your friends to go kill Indina because, frankly, I don't like her, and I'm gonna convince Tatty Pooh and Glinda to say that they are witches, because he doesn't know. He doesn't know that they don't like him. They've been subservient to him at this point because they're trying to get him to leave. And Glinda is trying to get closer to him so that way she can throw water on him. Because remember, if you're a witch or a wizard, you can do that. And that's why the wizard's been hiding. He found that out, but he doesn't know that the people on both sides have been plotting this. So he is always scared. The lion like roars. It has to be a substantial amount of water. Like if the lion spit on him, it wouldn't do jack shit. But like the lion roars at him like, I'm not gonna go kill Indina. I'm gonna go get Indina, and we're gonna end you. And he goes, you're right. I just convinced your friend to go kill her. I could probably convince her that the sky is yellow. Go do this, you pussy. So they go to the Vinky country. The Scarecrow and Tin Man both are unuseful. So they get torn apart by the winged monkeys. And of course, they send the waves of other animals. I did take a page out of Wicked for this, where it was actually a greeting party, but the Tin Man's like, nah, fam, I'm not doing any of that. And he chops all of their heads off, so they're just running around with no heads now, which is a sight to Dorothy. Dorothy gets scarred for life from that. The bees. The thing about the bees is that they do die because the stingers come out, but like, I don't know what I was thinking. I think I was just like, fuck the bees, man. Don't actually. The bees are good for our ecosystem, but like, in this, fuck the bees, man. The crows go around with broken necks. The Vinkies get scared off, and then the flying monkeys come down and snatch them up. And it's because the lion roared at the Winkies, and also because Indina is friends with the lion, that he gets to go. But the Scarecrow and Tin Man, only reason that the reason they can't go is because they murdered a bunch of her animals for no reason. So she's like, fuck them in particular. They can suffer. And so they bring the lion and Dorothy. And Indina basically explains what her deal is, and Dorothy's like, oh. Okay, well, I'm on your side now. But we gotta make sure that, like, we can plan. So you're gonna stay here. But could you help me clean? Like, because my castle's not that great. So she does. And one day, she's pouring out the water, hits Indina in the head with the water bucket, and bloop, and Indina's gone. It's not quick, but it's sure, like Ruth's was, because I gotta mention the, oh, girl like you. She says that in front of a camera thing that the wizard is sent to spy on them, just to make sure they weren't doing anything stupid. And she plays it up for the camera, but Dorothy's like, we got you now, wizard. So the wizard's plan backfires. Well, their plan backfires, actually. The wizard gets to fly away in his balloon. He's actually, like, they go confront him about it, and he's already packing up to leave. They don't get any of their gifts in this version. They just don't. The wizard's already like, peace. I forgot to mention that in the Vinky country, there is a rock out in the deadly desert that you can't, that people say you can get to if you're like part of Lurleen's, or Lurleen's lineage, which is why Ozma is able to get to it in later books. Well, in the second book, in the third book, it gets yeeted into Oz and causes massive damage to a rainbow, and that's how Polychrome gets here. But that's another story. So the rock is there, and it's not a big rock, but there's a rock. Glinda shoots a fireball at the wizard's balloon, and it lands on the rock. Damn it. So the wizard actually gets to stay alive for a little bit longer. Until book 3. He's not really in book 2. They pass him. And there's a bunch of doomed souls of the sand trying to grab at him. And he's poking them away and screaming. 'Cause I guess that far out, everybody is kung fu fighting over there. I don't know. Anyway, Dorothy goes home, and the jeweled shoes fall into the deadly desert right out of the reach of the wizard. Like, right next to the rock, like, he scrambles to go, like, try and get them, and they go into the sand and disappear. The lion is free, and he goes back to his little thing, and he doesn't live happily ever after. There's 2 more books where he helps a kid transition and fights a tiger that is trying to take over his land and kills her by throwing her into the deadly desert. Where he meets a daughter of a rainbow in the 3rd book and has to deal with the sorceress Mombi. Because Mombi, who is Tip is her ward of the state apparently, does not want to be a witch, because of the connotations of that. So she's trying to actively stop him in book 2 to get him to Tattypoo. And because Tattypoo is like Tip's from the Gillikin country, so obviously the lion and Tip are going to go over there and go, hey, Tip wants to transition into Ozma. Can we do that? And Tattypoo's like, bitch, I don't have the power. I also don't have the time. Because Ev is calling me, and they're like, hey, we're coming. Because book 3 mashes up all the rest of the Oz books. At least the ones that L. Frank Baum wrote that were culturally significant. Into one. Dorothy shows back up. The wizard tries to show back up. Zeb appears, who's Dorothy's cousin. Not husband like they did in fucking Oz Kids. And Aunt Em and Uncle Henry show up. And then the Gnome King happens. He's a dick. The Gnome King lives right off north in Ev. And they go to Ev in the 3rd book. And the Gnome King, they win his little ornament game. This is like early stages of book 3. And he's like, fuck you. And so he digs a tunnel underneath the deadly desert, pops back up and starts wreaking havoc on the land of Oz. That's where the rock shoots in and knocks Polychrome off of her rainbow, and she has to get back up there, and it's a big mess. We meet Button Bright, the Shaggy Man, all of them. In passing, honestly, they're not really that important. The Shaggy Man is just there to show that when you starve in Oz, and he's really sad about it. Button Bright is a lot more Dorothy's speed. But he's also like the advisor to the Scarecrow, because they're both stupid. Button Bright asks too many questions. The Scarecrow doesn't have answers for them. Because instead of getting brains, he's just relying off of what he already knows, which is basically nothing. Jack Pumpkinhead is in the second book. There's a lot of Oz stuff. Oh, I could go on. But anyway, and in terms of that book, I liked it well enough. There's a lot more that I didn't get into that, like, I don't describe everything that happens to them because, frankly, the book of The Wizard of Oz, I think, can be broken down like this. You meet all the characters, go through the poppy field, just like in the movie, and then you end up at the Emerald City. It really, like, the chasms, the Kalidas are a different story, but the chasms and the river and stuff, I really don't go into too much detail with it because, frankly, I don't care. Especially since it's in the middle of the book. I spend all this time with Ruth and the lion and all of that, and then kill Ruth off. So then now we have to follow Dorothy, and then you follow Dorothy through the rest of the book. Speaking of the Dainty China Country shenanigans, and getting to Glinda, I didn't shorten that a whole lot. There is a spider that appears in the book that the lion has to kill, as well as with the Dainty China Country. I mean, it's there. But I really don't go into a whole bunch of detail about it because it's nearing the end of the book. Really, my book focuses on the lion's relationship to each of the witches and to Dorothy. Scarecrow, he has a fine relationship with, I guess, but in terms of the Tin Man, they become best friends after this. But the Scarecrow is kind of the odd one out because I really don't like the Scarecrow in this. Like, I don't treat him with that much respect because he's the straw man. Like, I don't really. He has brains, sure, but like, what else is there? Anyway, if you guys liked this, let me know. I will talk about other things that I wrote, like the story of King Louie, the orangutan from the Jungle Book, or the Jaws the musical that I wrote. But let me know. I've been Jacob Ferguson. Thanks for listening.